All right, it is now 6 o'clock. We call this meeting to order. I'd like to ask Councilman Woods to give the invocation.
Heavenly Father, once again, you have allowed us to assemble together here in Marlboro County. Father, we thank you, Lord, for carrying us through the holiday season. And Father, we partake in a beginning of a new year. Let our minds and hearts come together as we continue, Lord, to work hard, hand in hand, to improve Marlboro County in every facet of life. Father, we ask this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Point of privilege, Mr. Chair. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Attorney Jason Luck and have him come to say a few words about the Wills and Clinic and our health care power of attorney event that happened this past Friday. I do appreciate you, so we'll allow him to a few minutes, please. Thank you.
Thank you all, members of council. I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to use the library. Thank Ms. Lawson, or Councilwoman Lawson, for really being the force behind this. Yes, I was one of the people drafting wills along with 6 or 7 other volunteer attorneys. But the real force behind this, the person that really organized and got this thing going, was Councilwoman Lawson. She pushed me and kept pushing me, got the dates, got the location. The staff at the library was excellent. The actual facility is excellent for this work. We got over 50 wills drafted, healthcare powers of attorney with that. That's fantastic. I appreciate you all for working with me and helping me help the county. It's a small thing I can do because I'm busy. I would love to be able to donate more time, but I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off every day. So being able to get something done once a month, once a quarter like this, I think Councilman Woods remembers the very first one of these I did in Clio, and it was just me. And so it's gotten bigger, it's gotten better, and I'd like to think maybe if I can get the time together and collect some money and talk to my paying clients, see if I can get myself back in a good position, I'll be ready to do this again maybe next quarter. Again, thank you for letting me use facilities, and thank you for putting your faith in me, and thank you for buying us sandwiches. That was helpful as well.
Thank you.
So anyway, I just wanted to tell you that.
Sir, I thank you because that cost would have been at least $200 per person to get a will done, or more. We did the simple will. We did over 50, say I think it was 53, and we still have 6 persons who didn't get waited on it, but 20 people received the paperwork and did not get to come. So we turned away about 20 people, and that's because at 2 o'clock we knew we couldn't get anybody else. But we do thank you so very much. We hope and pray that we can get our local lawyer, other attorneys to be a part of this event because it's something needed. A lot of people do need their will and their health care power of attorney. So for that, I'm very appreciative to everyone, whatever small part you played in this. And I do appreciate you taking the time. I know you have to excuse yourself, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, council, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Moving along to the approval of agenda items.
Before you do that, I do want to propose 2 amendments to that agenda. First one, under new business, section 7A, that needs to be stricken because we don't need an ordinance for lease. We only need a resolution. We've done that already. That was just oversight. So we don't need that. You do remember you council.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
The ordinance to just
Right.
do resolution for that. Second amendment, under new business, under C, I'm sorry, it would be B, and the first one, the B is moved up to A, and this would be B, would be to add some adjustments to consideration for salary adjustments that we discussed at the seminar on Friday. So I just want to make sure that we, as we promised, we would come up with some numbers and some figures that we could present the impact of those potential adjustments, and we wanted to go ahead and get that to you so you could consider it.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the amendments, adjustment, the agenda adjustments.
Okay. And do we have a second?
Question.
Okay.
Just real quick, in the old business ordinance 839, that was the economic development incentive, second reading, and now we ask, is it the resolution for that same thing in 12401, is that the same? Because we had second reading.
The second reading was supposed to be last week with the meeting, but this is the second reading.
So we asked for resolution here, for 7A now, we're asking for resolution, should that be second reading for ordinance 839, or is that resolution?
It's 839. I see
839 was going to be an ordinance to authorize the execution and delivery of one or more economic development incentive agreements by and between Marlboro County, South Carolina, the company known as Project Purity, to provide both fee in lieu and ad valorem taxes and special source revenue credits and other related. This was going to be, it was supposed to be second reading, and we have resolution here, so the question is, what do we need to go?
That needs to be a second reading.
Second reading, 839.
Yes.
Because in January book, it was in the January 9th book.
That's B.
That's A. That would be A.
That would go to A.
So we need to change that ordinance 841 to 839.
839, I think Attorney Moses said he needed to do some more work on that, so he asked us to put off the second reading this time, and it will be done at the next meeting. Attorney Moses asked that be postponed, so that is a totally separate issue.
Okay, so we will,
Resolution is a totally separate.
The ordinance 839 is totally separate,
This resolution is for the fee in lieu, ad valorem taxes agreement between Marlboro County and Project Purity.
But would that come as an ordinance, or are we going to do it as a resolution? I guess that's the question. Usually we do,
Right, the fee in lieu agreement, why is that put as an
if it's a resolution, we do not need three readings.
Ordinance 839 for the second reading. And
Yeah, the ordinance, that was just for the lease.
It was a
lease-
totally separate issue. And Attorney Moses, I believe, asked Mr. Neal, said we were gonna put that off this time. He's got to do some
Right.
work on it.
He has to get more information.
Right, I'm clear on that part. What I'm saying is that the lease itself is resolution, but fee in lieu needs to be,
I'm not
Needs-
sure, I
needs to be-
wasn't updated on any of
Needs
that.
to be in order.
that needs to be.
yeah,
That needs to be an
it should be, I mean, I would think it would be ordinance 839,
That should be first.
second reading, but if we were going to table that, then we don't, B would be not needed either, is that correct?
Yeah, we should table B.
Yeah,
well.
table everything.
You in old business?
New
On the
business.
new business, we should table B as well.
Okay.
So the only new business you're having to add is a consideration for salary adjustment. Both
Yes.
A and B need to be stricken from this
Yes.
agenda.
And then A changes to the
We're gonna meet both of them then.
salary adjustment. So we're gonna table both of those A and, well, eliminate A and table B.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that there's already a motion on.
Well, it's changed since then, so we do need a new motion.
So I make a motion that we amend the agenda to, delete section A and B and add, A, consideration for salary adjustment on the new business.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, that's unanimous. Motion carries. All right, so with the new agenda adjustments made and approved, we'll move to the election of officers. I would like to add that it's been a real pleasure to serve as the chairman for the past 2 years for this council, and I appreciate the opportunity to let me do so. And with that being said, nominations
Mr.
are
Chairman,
now in order for the office of chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
it gives me honor and great pleasure to nominate Mr. Anthony Wood for chair.
Second.
All right. We have Councilman Anthony Woods nominated as chair. Are there any further nominations?
Mr. Chairman, I make a move that we close nomination. Make a motion that we close nominations on the said name.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to close nominations. All in favor? That's unanimous. I'll call for a vote. All in favor of having Anthony Woods as our new chairman? That is unanimous. All right, congratulations. Councilman Woods. I'd like to pass you the gavel, and I'll let you carry out the vice chair
Well, thank you, sir.
election.
Seats? You change seats?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Can I wear your hat?
Yeah, you want my hat.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Pass this down to
I'd like to thank first and foremost, I thank my colleagues for having the confidence in me to be the chairman for the 2024 year of the county council. And we will be continue to moving on with the election of the vice chair. The nomination now open for office for vice chair. May I have any nomination?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Mr. Verdon for vice chair.
Second.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Dr. Damon Johnson for vice chair.
okay. If there's any more nomination for vice chair? If not, we will close that part of the vote, and we'll go by first. All in favor for Mr. Verd Odom for vice chair, may I have a show of hands, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, total of 4. Mr. Dr. Damon Johnson for vice chair, show of hands, please. Okay, we have a 4-4 tie. As the rule is, if there's a tie for either seat, the current officer will remain in place until we get a majority vote. So, Mr. Steen, you will be remained as the vice chair until the next meeting. All right. We got any questions? Okay. Move on. See, we got approval of minutes on December 12th, 2023, the regular council meeting. Have everybody read the minutes, and can I get a motion?
Motion to approve December 12th minutes.
Second.
Motion's been moved and second. Can I have a show of hands, please? Unanimous. Minutes for January the 3rd, 2024, call meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I'm abstaining, I was absent.
Okay. Ms. Rivers, you have that, please? Yes. Okay. Next on the agenda, we had presentation. The library board, Ms. Bobby Jo Groom.
Y'all mind if I stand over here so I don't have to go through? I'm passing around just a little bit of information I put together for you all today. I just want to say first and foremost, thank you for allowing me to talk about a place I love so dearly, the public library. It's, I think, one of the best things, one of the best things we have going in our county. There are a lot of good things going on here, but our public library is pretty special. We have a lot of new faces in the audience, and so I just want to kind of give you an overview. A couple new council members, a lot of you use the library, you know about it. But just for public sake, I'll tell you a little bit about the library, some of the things we're doing, and some of the things we plan to do. So our library is a 20,000-foot facility, and we're positioned right here in Menifsville. We have our main library and our book library. And with those two resources, we're open Monday through Saturday. So we're one of the departments outside of medical services and sheriff's department that does have night and weekend hours. We're open until 7 o'clock Monday through Wednesday, and then we're also open on Saturday from 9 to 2. We have 5 staff members and me for the rest. We work rotating shifts. We have 2 teams. So one team will work 10 to 7 one week, and then the following week they'll work 8:30 to 5, have a day off for Saturday. And so, in considering all that, we'll get into what we do with those people, those 6 people that include myself, and then all the things we're still able to accomplish, even with like sicknesses, time off, vacations, and that sort of thing. So, between the 6 of us, we served over 47,000 people that walked through the library doors last year. That's a lot of people. In addition, we had 185 programs serving our citizens, to doing everything they can to make sure we do our little part to make it a better place in Marlboro County. So what type of programs have we held? We're right now operating a health club in our library. So we do a variety of things through that. We help people sign up for benefits like health care, Social Security, Medicaid, all those types of things where they're not getting that community up. I mean, honestly, they don't. There are businesses and entities that are supposed to help people sign up for those services, but they don't. You don't know how to use a computer? Go to the library. You don't know how to get your Social Security statement? Go to the library. And that's the honest truth. That's what we deal with. But we're happy to do it. Food insecurity is getting people food vouchers, housing. Ms. Purley's helped out a ton with, especially during and after the pandemic, get people signed up for rental assistance, light assistance, utility assistance, that sort of thing. We have a huge number of volunteers that come in and do those types of things. Literacy programming, screening, vaccination, prescription health, you name it, anything that walks through the door. Legitimately, anything that walks through the library. Early literacy programs, we are a national family place library. And so, in 2018, we went to New York, and several of our staff were certified to operate in a family place library, which essentially means that, you come in our library, we have a family play space. It's not all shush and be quiet and take your child out the door anymore. No, we have a full center for children. It has computers, it has toys, they can learn through play, develop fine, gross motor skills, all those sorts of things. And we have toys and devices designed to enhance those skills, especially for kids 0 to 5 years old. We do a lot of story times and activities, of course, with the kids in the library and outside the library. STEM activities and that sort of thing. Partner with most of the schools in the district, help them out with after-school programs and target those kids that need a little bit more time and assistance and care. Somebody just to be there for. Of course, we have our huge summer reading program. And if you get a chance during the summer, you're not doing anything on Tuesday or Wednesday, walk in that library. From 10 to 11 o'clock, those kids are smiling, having a good time. You can hear it inside and outside the room. And it's really a good thing because during the summer, they're out, they don't have school, they're not required to come to that library, but they get up every morning. We have programs that show up. And I think that says a lot. In everything we do, people choose to come to us. It's not a requirement. They can go to any other place in the county to get help, but they don't come to us. And I think that says a lot about what we have going on. It's really, really special place. As far as adult programs go, we work with the Disability and Special Needs Board. Well, back a couple of years ago, McLeod quit with their senior service. We had those folks, corporate folks, that were like, man, we're really bummed out. We're not going to have senior circle anymore. We started that back up. We do program weekly on Wednesdays, and that crowd has a ball. They're a pleasure for people, I'm telling you. Around on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, aside from the summer, we have our senior circle at 10 o'clock. We're playing bingo tomorrow, so you're welcome to attend. Computer classes, we've done some of that, and I'm working with Councilwoman Lawson. We're going to try and get that started back up, but we got a list of probably 70 individuals in our community that need computer literacy skills, from the basics, from turning one on to creating an email address, being able to actually search the web and do things on their own. And so we're working together with the school district and some of our local Beta Club kids. And we're trying to get some advice, one-on-one advice training, as well as computer classes. And we have a lab at the library, but also over there at the building. We do a lot of community event participation, and y'all, these lists are not completely inclusive. There's stuff I know I forgot, but pretty much anything that goes on in the community that we can make it to because of our staffing situation, we try our best to be a part of it. So health and wellness fairs, any of the events, usually that we can make with Care South because they're such a huge partner for us, especially with our health club. They come and do health screenings for free. They provide programming for us as far as diabetes workshops or different things like that. And we got some more things coming up with them. We actually were gifted a Charlie card by the state library. And if you don't know what a Charlie card is, it's basically a kitchen on wheels. So it's huge, it's bigger than this, but it has a sink, it has a stove, microwave, all those things. And so we'll be able to do some nutrition programming and, you know, teach people how to make healthy meals and healthy choices. And that's one of the things we're working with here South on now. Trunk or treat, parades, back to school giveaways. We have our own festival, our big fall festival. We've been doing it for 8 years. First year we had about 75 people attending. This past year I couldn't count. There were so many. So it's a good thing if people know on that first Saturday in November we're going to have a fall festival. And we have a lot of things there, a lot of people, a lot of community members and partners that come out and us. Just anything you can think of. And then we have free things for the kids like bounce houses and whatever other activities we can corral for that day. You know, so if we go on down, some of the services provided, I hit on these, but computer help, local print. You can print from right here and go pick it up at the library as long as we're open. We have notaries on staff right now. Device assistance, genealogy help, information retrieval. Again, I go back to these people needing their social security statements and that sort of thing. Need their bank account statement, all those things that they have no clue how to pull up on their own. You know, we do all that sort of thing. Recently, we started Dolly Parton's Imagination Library in our county, and that's a program where we raise the money, I raise the money, I go out there and borrow, but go out and get people in our community that are interested in growing those little minds between the ages of 0 and 5, who, you know, may or may not have access to books, but it provides 1 book per month per child. And they'll get those books from the time they're born to they're 5 years old. And it's free of charge for anybody that signs up as long as they're a Marlboro County resident. And like I said, the books go straight to your house. And creates a love of reading, a love of learning, a family atmosphere where you sit down at night, read those books with the kids. Kids are excited to get them out the mailbox and bring them in, you know, to get their own little piece of mail, that sort of thing. So you're creating early learners, and the idea is essentially they'll go to school ready to read and achieve. So we're always looking for donors for that. Don Carr and Kenny Family Fund have been a big help in providing ongoing support for that, and we're grateful. I won't go on and on, because I can talk about this place in my sleep. But I do want to say a big special thank you to all of our community partners, and I've named some of them. But the Friends of the Library, they're like our anchor. If we can't afford to do something, they get out and raise the money so that we can. They're our nonprofit, Care South, Marlboro Electric, or NPD, whatever you want to call them now. First United, Marlboro First Steps, PD Coalition, Marlboro County Head Start, the school district, DSN. Thank you to county government, various departments. Sheriff, he comes through anytime we call. He'll provide a program and have the kids having a good time. Everybody, probate judge, museum, recreation folks, the city people, Jack's Towing, Kinston Farms, and the list goes on and on. But I'd like to just kind of highlight again a few of our accomplishments. We have been a National Family Place Library since 2018. Last year we received a $30,000 grant to get us another library vehicle so we can do outreach. We're not just limited down to one person going out on bookmobile. We send 2 out on the same day at the same time and serve more people. We received a $2,000 grant from the state library to help with summer reading programs, $2,500 from Duke Energy to help fund our senior circle and children's programs. And since April 22, through our Friends of the Library, I've been able to raise over $21,000 for that Dolly Parton Imagination Library. And I failed to mention earlier, it's about $2.20 per child per month. So about $25 a year to sponsor one kid. So I'll push, and I'd like to know if you have any questions for me so that I don't take up the rest of this meeting talking about one thing I love and I'm so passionate about.
Council, anybody got anything to say?
I do, sir. I want to thank you, Ms. Grooms, for presenting, and I really hope and pray that the building itself is a great space for community events. We are county council members, and I would like to have county business at our public library, because that health fair, the wellness, the will and the health care power of attorney work well there, having all that back space. And I do appreciate the recreation department for helping out too. There's a bookstore back there that you failed to mention, but those books, is that the only bookstore that we have in
The
there?
only bookstore in the county, books are $1 for hardcovers and 50 cents for paperback. You can't buy them on Amazon that cheap.
Right.
Most of them are in excellent condition, and we get most of those books from, well, all of them from donations, unless they're weeded from our collection. And again, all that money comes through friends and back to the library. And sorry to cut you off, but you just triggered another thought. Recreation has been with us for about 3 years. It was supposed to be temporary, but I've been thinking about summer reading, and all those little kids we have, usually on Wednesdays, we have about 128 plus kids. And in years past, before they were put in our building, we were able to feed those kids. And one of the things, obviously, we all know is food insecurity. One of our first years, we started feeding kids during the summer. I found a little note, and it'll bring you to tears, but it said, "Without you all, we would starve." And a kid left that at the library. Well, we don't have room to feed them anymore. We hadn't been feeding them since recreation's been built. And there are other entities and organizations in the community that need that space. I know you're working on it, but that is one thing. If you could, we'd like to be able to feed those kids again during the summer. I don't know if you can make it happen by the end of the month, but.
And that computer lab there is too nice to just let sit, and it's an ideal space. But also the fact that hopefully we will be having a better relationship with the school district. I do know that they will be, and I'm not making their announcement for them, but they're working on to try to have basic computer skills classes for persons who want it. But I also would like to get with some of these phone companies. A lot of people really don't know how to use their cell phone. Y'all take the time to show us how to change things in it, and those are kinds of workshops that we can have, anything with technology. And I understand just talking to a member from the school district, those are the kind of things that we can pull together to do. If they have the training and technology there, they can also help offer that. So I hope our relationship grows with our city and school members. But I do want to actually say, I've been utilizing the library for the past 15 years because my grandchildren always check out books. They're no longer here. But I like that. The fee for Friends of the Library, please tell us. I know, but tell them so that maybe some of us want to join.
So if it's a team in the community, they can join for $2. If you're an individual, you can join for $10. You can join as a family for $15, organizations $20 or $25. I don't want to say the wrong.
Right.
And then we have some other tiers for organizations. But that gives you no fine forgiveness. You don't pay any fines. And then we have some other little perks. You get so many faxes and so many copies per year for free. And again, our membership drive, it starts in January and it goes January to January. And all of those monies, again, help us provide programs outside of our regular county budget. So when we do things like the Fall Festival, have summer reading, kick off, and provide pizza and snacks to the kids. Friends pay for a lot of that stuff.
The kids 0 to 5, anybody in the county is eligible, like any kid, you just have to go in and sign up for it.
You can either call us at the library, we can sign them up for you, or you can go on your own cell phone or computer, go to Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Once you put your zip code in, it'll say, yes, it's available. You sign them up, I approve them, usually once a month.
Is it anywhere that gets that message out? Y'all have a sign at the library or anything?
It's on our webpage.
It's on the
Once you
webpage,
open
okay,
it up, it
okay.
says sign up for Dolly Parton Imagination
And do
Library.
they get a book once a month? Okay.
And they're different, they're staggered different times for different age groups. So you have your 0, your babies, your 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, and 5 to going to
Yeah.
kindergarten.
That's a good thing. Everybody in the county ought to get every child, you know.
Everybody needs to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
You know, we have so many, like I say, gracious donors that give us funds to be able to offer this service. For many years we haven't had it. First Steps managed it several years ago. And back then, from what I understand from talking to Mr. Johnson, they had to actually process all the books, do all the mailings, send them out, make sure people got them. It's a whole lot easier now. And once they're in that system, that Tennessee takes care of the rest. We just have to pay for it.
That's why it's important that you did present to us tonight, because we offer services in this county that maybe people don't know. Having this meeting televised give people the opportunity to learn something, because you cannot, everybody don't go on the website and see this. So we do appreciate, I appreciate the services that you provide for us in Marlboro County. Thank you.
Mr. Grunberg, I know, you said 9 years ago, I know Steve and Jason and myself, we've been here on your first day, and we have seen and we can hear in your voice the love and the passion you have for this library. And we thank you very much for you know, for all you do. And we were all working to get the recreation guys out of your place. You know, that one of the things we got on our agenda for 2024 to give you your space back. But yeah,
Right.
yeah, give it back to the community. But like I said, we can hear it in your voice, the excitement and the love you have for the library and the kids in Marlboro County. We thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Next, we have a presentation from Mr. Ron King, Marlboro County Housing Authority.
So I have a handout as well. Actually, I might ask Bobby to do it for me. Did a pretty good job. I'm going to talk about housing. Marlboro County has a Housing and Community Redevelopment Authority of Marlboro County. We were established pursuant to the United States Housing Act in February 5th of 1981. And we are the housing agency for Marlboro County. With the exception of Bennettsville. We have the president of Bennettsville's commission here with us. She could raise her hand or not. There you go. And McCall. McCall used to have their own housing authority, but in 2018 it was taken over by Florence. So Florence is the operational people for that. So we are charged with providing decent, safe, sanitary, and affordable housing for low-income citizens in Marlboro County. And we get all of our money from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. So HUD supplies us with all of our money. And we are the agency, the Board of Commissioners, who are appointed by County Council. This is the important thing that you guys do. And 8 years ago, you appointed Bobby and I. So we've been on the board for 8 years. The original board in February of 1981 had Leon Owens as his chairperson. William Miller was vice chair. Francis Diggers was on the board. Uzi Wilson was on the board, and Cecil Nolan. So if you recognize any of those people, they were the original 5 people. We are like Supreme Court justices in one way, because basically our appointments are for life. And that's by design by HUD, because it's so hard to get people to volunteer to be on housing authorities throughout the whole United States. So we're appointed by you, and then we're reappointed every 3 years. But reappointment is really just an affirmation that we still want our job. So we either have to die or we have to tell you that we don't want to be on the board anymore. And that is for a couple reasons. County councils and cities, Bennettsville's under the city of Bennettsville, aren't allowed to be involved in it because they don't want housing authorities to be political in any way. So once people are appointed, they're on. You also don't have any financial responsibility. You don't have any liability because we actually own the property out there in a trust deed from HUD. So we have 55 public housing units in Clio. We are just east of the new Clio grade school. So private grade school, we're the very next property. And it's pretty much evenly divided between 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom apartments. We also have 253 housing choice vouchers, which you would commonly refer to as Section 8 vouchers. And then we have 24 emergency housing vouchers. And that's primarily to deal with anyone who is unhoused. So basically, it's a homeless program. And we have not used very many of them because it takes a referral from some other agency to us. So we've communicated about it, but we haven't got that many referrals. I think one of the reasons is our referrals have to go to Myrtle Beach and be approved and then come back. So it's a big process for it. When she was talking about people not being able to get their Social Security thing, if you can imagine somebody having to contact the right person, get that process through Myrtle Beach and get back to us, it's almost not ever going to happen. So a little bit about what we do. We are what's classified as a high-performing public housing authority, which means that we do a lot of things right. We are very highly occupied. Our occupancy rate is greater than 99% and has been year after year after year. Our 55 units are in great shape. We follow all the rules, which is a stack of books about this high. HUD now, in my opinion, just makes rules. They really don't, they're not investing in new public housing. They haven't invested in it since 1992. So it's been a long time since they built anything. So they're just there making rules for the ones that are out there. We have an annual budget of about $1.5 million. Most of that is Section 8 housing vouchers. About $360,000 is what we operate our 55 apartments on. And then we get some capital money to keep them in good shape. We have been, since day one, and are still today, operating under a contract with Florence Housing Authority to provide us our management and employees and financial management. 5 years ago, we started to figure out how to do more in Marlboro County. And one way to do that is a project that that HUD has created. It's called RAD. And they call it a demonstration project, but it's been around almost 20 years. They're still demonstrating that it works, I guess. But it allows us as a housing authority to actually own the apartments. And they come with no cost. So we would get an asset of 55 apartments that are in good shape. And then HUD guarantees 30 years of rent. So if you're a businessman and you think about this, this is a 30-year contract where they're going to pay us 7.5% over the market, housing market, for 30 years, and they're going to escalate it with inflation. So we're going to be getting a raise every year for whatever inflation is, guaranteed every month to get a payment. So the idea is take that stream of payment over a building that you don't owe anything on and get a mortgage. Then take the proceeds of that mortgage and invest it in some way in additional housing for low income. So we've been trying to do this, like I said, for 5 years. We're still trying. It should have been maybe an 18-month project, but it's just gone on forever. And the big reason is that Florence was the entity working on it for us, and they just didn't have the competency or the staff to do it. If you watch the news or read the newspaper, you'll know that they're kind of in total chaos at this point. And so the commission on our own have hired a nationally known consultant. We've hired a local ex-executive director from Laurinburg, who's also a nationally recognized consultant on this process, and actually completed it in Laurinburg, Maxton, and Southern Pines. And we've hired an attorney that specializes in this kind of transaction. So we feel like we now have the correct resources to add to what should have been done by Florence. Our current estimate from those people is that in 4 to 6 months, we should have the transition to ownership being local. So when that happens, then we'll be talking about what we intend to do to create more affordable living opportunities in Marlboro County. I guess that's basically what we do. Oh, I didn't give you our current board members. In addition to myself and Bobby is the vice chair, and then we have Claudette Hooker, William Simon Sr., and just this last year you appointed Eva McCrae from Clio to be our 5th board member. So those are the 5 current board members. She was filling a position for somebody who was a resident that got too ill to continue to be on the board. So we now have 5 people. I feel like that's a very cohesive group. We're all on board with what we're doing. We all understand what our process is, and we're committed to developing and increasing the amount of low-income housing in Marlboro County. So with that, I would like to entertain any questions except for Mr. Woods, who has been my basketball teammate for 30 years.
We go way back.
We do go way back.
Any question? Anybody, any comments?
Mr. Chair, I do. I have a question.
Sure.
And I'll let.
Okay.
I have a question. Mr. King,
Yeah.
the chaotic situation that was with the Florence Housing Authority,
Yeah.
let me understand then. There was number one thing was about the fact that they had to resign, had to fire commissioners, they had to do all of that.
Right.
Where does that leave us with Marlboro County? And is it possible, or is it productive for us to stay with that, with the Florence board?
So I would just say that the chaos started at the beginning of last year. They fired their executive director who had been there for 5 years. And they didn't replace her until August. During that time, you know, an organization with 100+ employees without a head became kind of not as effective as they were. And over time, it just got worse. And then when it started to deteriorate, then part of their leadership left. Now most of their leadership is gone. And then they hired somebody with 0 public housing experience. So, you know, very difficult, no matter who you are, to come into an organization and not know anything when your rule book is that thick. So that created more people leaving. We are the board is continually talking about how we can do a better job going forward and looking at what those options might be.
Will one of the options be to break away from the house, from the Florence, and connect with Bennettsville?
So we have an opportunity on October the 1st, we can end our current contract.
And how long is that contract?
That contract's been in place since 1981.
Okay, see, that's a 40-year type and stuff.
Yeah. It's not uncommon for that to occur, according to what I've read, because people like stability in this, you know. But at this point, I don't see how they can recover. I think Bobby agrees with that, the board agrees with that. So we're trying to figure out how we can transition to some other leadership, whether that means we create our own leadership or we become contracting with some other entity. We're looking at those options.
Those are my questions, and one point that you pointed out about y'all serving for life, is that common for all housing?
So,
And let me tell you why.
Yeah.
I'm just not one for anybody staying in anything forever and never giving anyone else the opportunity.
Right.
So I'm not gonna beat you up about that,
No,
but I'm gonna
no,
make it clear.
no.
I just personally don't like anything
Right.
but you got to serve for life,
It's
and you
very-
can't be replaced.
It's very common. It's the practice that HUD has tried to instill in public housing authorities to get continuity. It's a totally unpaid job, so, you know, you are giving your time and effort to this for no pay ever, and people get tired of doing it, so it is a very common practice. That is a part of our actual bylaws,
Okay.
and it's very common to be in other people's bylaws, so it is a common national practice to do that. And it's primarily because it's so hard to get people to serve on boards, unpaid boards. So, and we've done multiple trainings to be adequate commissioners, to understand what we're supposed to be doing, to ask the right questions, to challenge financial reports, to challenge the leadership to do better for what we're doing. And like I said, for my entire time on the board, we've been a high-performing entity, so it's not that. But I don't see any way we can continue to be high-performing and be connected to
Right.
Florence.
Me too.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the presentation. But I do want to clarify, I think we remember a couple of months ago when I made the statement that we didn't have an authority and that it was through Florence. And I just want to say that that was based on a request
Right.
that came from Florence to us,
Right.
that we presented to the meeting.
Right.
And you remember, Ms. Rivers, it stated to us that they were our authority. And so it was a little misleading to us. And so I'm glad that you came and clarified that for
So
everybody.
there's a couple of things about that. This just shows you how chaotic it is when an organization doesn't have a head. And also the 2 people who assisted that person left. So there was a vacuum up here. You had already done what you were supposed to, and because you have a process, and you had already appointed
Right.
Eva McCray, and she had filled that, and she had already been sworn in at our next meeting that they attended. But they didn't recognize that those 2 things meant anything to each other, so. And they treat us as a part of their authority because they've been our contractual leadership for our entire existence. So part of that is just a perception by somebody coming in new.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. King, how, you're saying in October that we can do this? I'd like to encourage you to, get away from the existing contract and maybe start our own.
So I have challenged our new attorney to read our current contract and figure out, and I gave her some examples that I thought in a normal business relationship would break the contract, where they didn't do what their side was supposed to. So we're attempting, we would get out tomorrow if we could. But we don't have anything to replace them with tomorrow.
Right.
So there's a little, we don't want to not be prepared.
Right,
So we are trying to move as fast as we can.
Yeah, if you can get a contingency plan or plan B in order, to where if that could happen,
Yeah,
we can immediately step in, take
we're
over.
working on B and C, so that we're really comfortable that we don't leave any of the 55 people there, or any of the 250 people that are getting a Section 8 in any danger of their housing being insecure.
I understand.
Yeah.
Will that mean you have to build some more units? What would that mean? And I won't ask any more questions, but
Yeah, that's okay. There's a couple things that we're going to do. We're going to try and recruit more building owners to allow Section 8 housing. I put on the back of your sheet what they could get paid for a Section 8 qualified apartment, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. And it's basically market rate. So, if any of you or you know somebody that has places that they aren't renting, we're a great source. We're not subject to Congress approving our money.
Okay.
So if they shut down the government, all Section 8 checks are still going to get processed.
Okay.
So, that's a little security that we don't have right now, because if they shut down the process, we as an entity won't get any money till they're back started. We have reserves to cover that, but, it's a bad practice. To your other point, we actually would look at trying to figure out how to build new buildings or renovate some of the existing 2-story buildings that are in Clio, McCall, Bennettsville.
Okay. Housing is a need here.
Yes, because there's a need, and all of you know you can't rent an apartment here or anything. Thank you for your time. I'll be glad to come back and announce when we have a change.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Right now, we've been moving on, open up for the public hearing. Ordinance number 840, an ordinance authorizing the transfer of the property known as Bobo site.
We don't have anyone that signed up for the
For the public hearing? Okay. Council, y'all have any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on. We're closing the public hearing. Okay. Old business, ordinance authorizing the transfer of property known as the Borough site.
Mr. Chairman,
I was gonna tell you, this is the same thing that we talked about last month, where we are transferring that borough site.
Okay.
We all know.
You what?
the purpose of that.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, I should ask there, which is, that part, there were some stipulations that was gonna happen with some other properties to make a transfer. I mean, is
Right,
that's
and-
contingent on all this,
And
will be at
that's
third reading?
Everything being set with DHEC and everything else, testing, once that, but this, this transfer doesn't take effect until we actually say that those other, stipulations have been met. So this isn't just committing it, this is just saying we have the authority to do it once we are satisfied with those stipulations.
So this is second reading?
Right, the
whatever.
second reading.
Okay.
And even after the third reading, it's not saying that we transfer it, it's saying that we have the authority to transfer it after this reading.
So on the second reading, we need, a motion, what you saying?
Yes, we just need a motion
Okay.
for this.
Mr. Chairman, motion that we approve ordinance 840.
May I get a second?
second.
Motion been made, and moved to second. Any questions? All in favor? Unanimous? Okay, going over to new business, we omitted, A and B, so the new A would be salary adjustment. Mr. Clapper.
So, we had our budget health seminar, our budget health workshop, this past Friday, and in that workshop, we discussed, some of the differences in our revenue for this year, this present year. And with some of those differences, we had, discussed some adjustments that we could make, and those adjustments are basically going towards, some salaries. And we wanted to look at some adjustments, salaries in a couple positions we wanted to adjust. And so Wes has a presentation, it's brief, it's not the whole thing that we did Friday, but just a brief summary of that, so you'll see where we are with some of those adjustments.
Mr. Chairman, council members, Mr. Clyburn, pleasure to be here tonight. Just want to go through this presentation very quickly, just to give you an idea. We have some good news regarding county revenues and financial position. We have positive operating results from fiscal year 2022, 2023. We added $989,403 to our fund balance. Ending fund balance $7,614,240, which represents 6.3 months of general fund expenditures. We also anticipate tax revenues in excess of what we had projected in terms of budget. We also expect collection of the Mohawk taxes, and this is for Parker Poe. We'll show you the computations here on the next slide. We had unidentified unbudgeted property tax overage revenue, and lastly, unbudgeted rental revenue from outside storage at the old Delta site. What does that look like? We have, we're anticipating $250,000 in increased tax revenue. The Mohawk tax collection, just for the general fund side, $480,000. Unidentified property tax overage payment, $86,000. Rental of storage area at Old Delta site for the remainder of this year, $48,000. So $864,000 in increased revenue. When we look at the request in terms of the positions, we're talking, anticipating cost for the remainder of the year for a marketing and events director, $27,000, a receptionist for the administration building, $21,000, and to implement a $15 an hour minimum for all full-time employees beginning pay period starting January 14th, which was yesterday, ending January 28th with a pay date of February 2nd. That would be $110,000. and look at what we had have in terms of increased revenue, we've offset that by not using fund balances included in our budget. Use of fund balance. It gives us a subtotal of $474,000. We do anticipate we'll have some budget overruns in terms of costs, about $100,000. The two positions, $48,000. Upgrading to $15 an hour for all full-time employees, $110,000. We anticipate that we'll still end the fiscal year in the black, $216,000. That is the end of the presentation here. I guess the request is to consider making those additions in terms of positions and the adjustments to pay to bring all full-time employees to $15 per hour.
Do we have any questions, council members?
I know we spoke briefly just a minute, from the last health workshop. What would that do? There was no cost of living in this, is that correct? It's just,
Right, what we said about the cost of living, that we were gonna consider that for the fourth quarter of this fiscal year, starting in April, but we wanted more time to run those, because those are a little more complicated, especially when we looked at different scenarios where we do a 3-2-1 or a 2% across the board, different things that we were looking at. And I think the members that were there, we all thought that it would be good to say something that would affect the bottom portion a little bit more. And then, but we haven't, Darcy and I haven't really run all the numbers in different scenarios. That just takes a little more time to do that, because you got to consider all aspects of the employees. And so we said we would bring that in February.
Right, okay.
We intend to bring that in February to be considered for the second half of, or I'm sorry, the fourth quarter of this fiscal year.
okay. What would that, just for knowledge, what would the, bringing up the 15 minimum for all full-time employees, what would that look like for yearly?
For a year, it ends up being about $270,000 for a year.
That's fringe and all?
That's fringe and all. The 110 is just for the pay periods in this current fiscal year.
How many employees is below that minimum now? Do we have an estimate guess?
Was it?
28,
60
30?
range, was that, or no, it was less than,
It was less than that.
it was less than that.
I don't quite remember, but it's definitely less than 60. I would say you're talking roughly closer to about 40.
Okay.
And those are full-time employees.
Full.
Okay. May I say something? I'm thankful that I'm a part of the Finance Committee meeting, and I really appreciate this, because this is something that this county should have been considering all along. We didn't foresee this finding extra money in the budget now to make sure that we take care of our lowest paid employees. So I'm very glad that we are able to do this. I'm more concerned about that than anything else on that budget summer request. My first and only thing is to be sure that we bring anybody who's $15 an hour up to par, so that they will not always, some of those people are on food stamps. As I said in the meeting, I would like very much so they can be competitive. Won't have to go to the city, won't have to go other places, but so I appreciate that. For me, I really don't like to have to vote on funds and money in a meeting that I'm just putting on the agenda again, even though I was on the Finance Committee meeting. I really am grateful that you did point that out, and you're very clear about pointing things out to us. So I really do appreciate it. So I like the transparency on that, but I just need to say again, when it comes to finance, I don't want to have to make a decision and a vote, putting that on me tonight. I don't like that.
But I know those who are below that 15 minimum would like that.
They would like their money.
They would like their money on the 2nd of February.
That's a portion that I like.
Yeah. Well, anyway, like I say, we will go ahead and vote on it. We'll ask for a vote, correct? A motion? We'll ask for a motion on this increase? That we asking for, right?
You want us to put a much on the whole forecast, that's what he's asking us. Is that what you're asking us to do?
On the whole forecast or just the last quarter?
Basically, these two components.
Okay.
To hire the two, allow for the hiring of the two positions, and to do the upgrade.
So you haven't hired anyone yet?
Not for those positions, no.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept this proposal.
Can I get a second? No second? We don't have a second.
I tell you, I'll second it based on these terms. The ones that's there, you know, you're bringing them up to $15 an hour, that we figure out the ones that's there for longevity. You know, some people's been here 5, 10, and a salary range. I don't know if there's a salary range, Mr. Norris, for every position. I don't know, we talked about
Right,
that.
we agreed on that.
You know, we talked about putting
And this reflects what we talked about, bringing that position that we talked about was at 36, it's down to 31.60 now, right? It's down below 32. So we brought that down to that $15 an hour.
Right.
So, and I don't want to say the name of the position because.
No. I know. I
brought that down.
Yeah, I just, you know, I know Miss Lawson had a thing. We had somebody here a long time, a longevity.
Right.
So, you know, you get, I'm just saying, even if you got them to 15 and they've been here for, I'm just saying for 15, 20, 25 years and we got them to $15 an hour, I'm just saying, if there's a range in there, knowledge is worth something. So if we can, you know, if we can look at that, with a salary study, I mean, I know we've talked about salary studies for a long time.
We've actually done,
but
we're looking
at least
today we've been looking at some
okay,
positions
yeah.
that we want to.
I mean, I think the ones below 15 needs to come up to 15. You know, it's hard to hire anybody. You can make $15 an hour at McDonald's. So if we can, if we want that, I mean, I think we need to at least bring them up to 15. But I'll second it with a contingent of, you know, looking at everybody, even those 15 with a longevity and a salary range in it.
I'd like to,
My reservation, and the question is regards to, we're talking about budget forecast and summary, and, you know, looking at the revenue that was unexpected. And I still go back to, you know, what we talked about in regards to the sheriff's department.
All right.
We determined that if there was some money that was found, that I think it was $40,000 that the sheriff department was asking for to make sure that they can keep, you know, their employees intact. And then we talking about budget forecast. If we know that, you know, 3 positions of the sheriff department, you know, deputies are not being paid for out of our budget, that money should be included in the budget forecast summary, because that's money that the county is not using, you know, to pay those positions, but the county is benefiting from those positions. So if we, you know, are being truthful and honest about what we said we was gonna do as a council, if we found additional money, the money that you know, we almost promised, you know, the sheriff to make sure that his, you know, deputies are not looking elsewhere, you know, I think that money, if we're looking at that, I think that money should be included in this contingency as well.
Now, if you remember, on Friday, I actually made that recommendation, but the 4 people that were there, we said, you know, let's consider this first. And then in the next meeting, when we had time to run the numbers for everything, we wanted to see about getting our people up to 15 first. And then we would look at doing something for the sheriff. That was a decision made by the members of that group that were there.
Correct.
Not really a decision, because we couldn't really make a decision,
Right.
but that was a suggestion.
Consensus. Yeah.
Right, that was made, that we do
And the
that.
$15 for those minimum wage people are my only zooming in.
Right, no, I understand
I'll
that.
say that to anybody. Those are the only people I'm concerned about.
Yeah, my understanding is when we discussed that, it was not awarding positions versus rewarding what the sheriff asked for. You know, we was talking about awarding positions versus
Right.
awarding
I suggested just give
positions, but,
and
you
then
know.
we said, well, wait a minute, let's do the 40,000. That's what the suggestion was. And so,
I mean, I'm saying this because we all have been up here for the last couple of years, and we know the shape that the sheriff department was in. We all know.
Right.
You
Well, that's
know,
why I made a
and
suggestion
but what I'm saying, I think
about
the sheriff has done a great job of using outside resources for things that the county rightfully should be paying for. you know, and utilizing those resources. So if he's utilizing those resources diligently and reducing the cost that's, you know, the things that he can't use that money for, I do think that, you know, as a county, we're obligated, you know, to at least look at, if we know we have the money, and I'm looking at, you know, even with this contingency, there's still a $216,000 overage that we're gonna be seeing. You know, if we said that we was gonna look at that, if we found some money, I think we should honor that request and include that in this contingency as well.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to amend my motion
Okay.
to include the $40,000, as Dr. Johnson has suggested, and the contingency on what Councilman Steen has suggested as well.
Got a motion?
I second the motion.
Got a second. We got any more discussion?
Call for just a little more discussion. Whenever, I have some discussion on that. Whenever, if, you know, even, I'm looking at marketing reception position, I know that's what we talked about, and the upgrade to $15 an hour. We increased revenues this year because we had the Mohawk thing. So, thing we talked about, if we didn't have it next year, and we increased to $15 an hour, what does that look like for next year's projection?
Right, for next year's budget.
For next year's budget? I mean, can we give a forecast or kind of?
We clearly have to, one thing we don't have at this point in time, we do not have numbers from this year's tax collection. I always feel a lot more comfortable about March in determining, okay, this is what the current year looks like, this is what the prior year looks like. We're able to tie it back to our audit. I think we need a little more time in terms of the projection, in terms of revenue. So there is some concern with that. I mean, certainly feel more confident that we added to the fund balance in 22-23. We feel confident that we'll end up in the black in 23-24. But 24-25, you know, we've got, we're probably not going to have the kind of growth in revenues. We're not going to have a scenario where we've got a Mohawk that's going to be paying us you know, that we didn't anticipate.
Mr. Parks, I don't necessarily agree with that assessment. I think we're doing, you know, enough on council where next year projection, we should be optimistic about what next year's projection, given the amount of work that we're putting in to attract new industry, to attract other, you know, streaming funding sources with grants and stuff. So I really do think we're still looking at Marlboro County through this dark glass. I really do think that we have to begin to update our view on what we can do, so we are progressing towards, if we know that we lost, you know, Mohawk in this year, our goal and our job should be on the mark and moving to make sure that we're replacing, you know, what we lost through unconventional means and conventional means. So, you know, I understand where you are. You're a financial guy. You got to look at that picture. But I think if we're not optimistic at growing our county, then every year we're going to be right back at this same place, you know, a little bit scared of what the next year going to bring because we haven't done, you know, we haven't been optimistic about what we can bring to Marlboro County.
Go ahead, Mr. Clyburn.
Even with this adjustment, as we pointed out in the budget health seminar, we are able to move over that 390. We're not using the fund balance that we said we're going to use this year. Move that over as well as the 216, and so that will put us in a point where next year even right now we're still even, and then we would have to replace part of that 270, which we are going to expect some growth, but maybe not a lot. You know, we have projects right now that, and Mr. McNeil he can't provide any, you know, any information, any detailed information, but we do have some things on the books right now that may start even before the next fiscal year for quite a bit of money. I'm talking about rental, so that starts happening right now. So we do have some revenue that we are going to have some growth, okay? And we are going to have, again, we have an extended fund balance. You know, last year it was 6.6, now it's 7.6. Well, 6.7.
We got
7.6. So we we're in pretty good shape. I just want to make sure that, A, we do what we say we were going to do with the sheriff, because I felt that way the first time we said it. And the second thing, and the reason I'm bringing this is because I, like Councilwoman Lawson, it does burn me up a little bit that we have people working in some positions and they just aren't being paid. I just don't think it's fair what some of them are being paid. I spent the past 2 nights, I spent time down in 911 myself, and I was down there till 11 o'clock last night with them, just kind of seeing how things. And first of all, we got to fix the place up a little bit, but they're not getting paid. Some of them have, we owed back pay too that we just took care of today. It's just not a fair situation for some of those workers, and I do think.
And they're all female on the bottom.
Over one.
On the bottom.
Right. But we need to make sure that we talked about it Friday, and everyone there was in agreement that we take care of those workers. And I think, Mrs. Steen, you were in agreement with that as well.
Correct.
We talked about that needs to be taken care of like now. So this is why I put that in there. Now, as far as the 2 positions, you said that we had that 36, and you said that
That's
it
right.
should go back down, and I brought it down to what it should be, right at the 15. And so I did everything that was suggested.
Correct.
And brought those adjustments the way it should have been. And that's why I felt like this right here would be appropriate to bring to the council, because we had a unanimous consensus, at the workshop. And so, and as far as with the sheriff, as you know, I wanted to give 2 positions right then, but we said we would do the 40 and then look at doing that later. So this is what we came up with in the workshop.
Correct.
And I think this is what, council at that point said that they wanted to do.
I think that 40,000 saves us money in the long run. Because if an officer or deputy leaves, then that means we have to bring in another deputy, train them, uniform. I just think it's smart to if we got people right now, we know the sheriff department is at capacity and they're working. I would rather continue to keep that department stable, than running the risk of losing 1 or 2 people that now it's going to cost us more in the long run to replace those people.
And the training and all that stuff.
So basically, what I'm hearing is that everybody is in agreement with the motion that Mr. Stroman made, and we got a second. With amendment along with what you said also, that's what we're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I just.
Well, let's clarify the motion.
Yeah, let's clarify the motion, because it's the last, it's what we asked for. I mean, I would just, only thing is a salary study is what I was looking at. It wouldn't have to be tied to the motion, but I second the motion. I wanted that contingent. So the original motion was for those 2 positions, what we talked about in the budget, health fair. And so if it's been, and that's what I would second. I think there was another motion, the amended motion.
To add Sheriff McNeil, $40,000 in that motion. So I guess, Mr. Stroman, would you make the motion again?
I'm thoroughly confused.
You confused too?
That $40,000 is just for this year, right?
That's just for this
year. Just for
this
year.
Now we do need to look at it, in the next fiscal year when we do the budget. We got to not make cuts, but we got to make sure we're careful with our money, because we do need to make sure we take care of the sheriff.
And I agree with that. That's why I want to make that clear that we ain't talking about $40,000 every year after this. We just talking about giving $40,000 now to help him out, and then it comes back to the budget time. Looking at it, so I want everybody to understand that it's not going to be every automatic $40,000 next year.
But if you take $40,000 and give it to, if you take $40,000 and say, well, I'm gonna give it to the sheriff, is that to increase salaries? That's just $40,000 to do whatever with. Because if you give $40,000, that's going to increase the budget. If you increase salaries, that means you automatically increase salaries for next year.
Correct.
So that's the question that it's before us.
But we also have to look at the revenue that the sheriff department from the detention center is bringing back to the county. So there's more to look at when we talking about just giving.
Well, that was bonuses.
No.
I think that was for bonuses in that part,
No, but the county gets a portion of that money that comes back to the county.
so.
So where we at?
So, question before the vote. The question I would like to make sure for clarification. We do feel, and I'm very grateful to see the increase on the lowest number of people who are not making $15 an hour across the board. And so that would increase our budget next year also. And what did you say that number would be?
270.
$270,000 added to the budget, right? And then if we approve all these other two positions, that will be added to the budget, because this is starting now plus the budget, right?
Yes.
What will that be for those people?
Those two positions annualized, that's about it's about $110,000.
Added to the budget for just this year or for the entire
No, the
budget?
future year.
Future year.
Yes.
So we're adding that. And then I do agree, because when a comment was made that, are we really caring about the blue? Comment was made somewhere in the paper. I do care about the blue. And I respect the sheriff. And we did say to him in this body, we will do all we can to find any extra money. Now that we got so-called extra money that just happened to come up when we get thorough in these reports, and I'm thankful that it's coming up, but I don't want to say that, oh, we got all this kind of money now, and everybody's going to be coming to us for some extra money. Because if the elected official had done what they should have done in the beginning and paid their people right, we really wouldn't have to be worrying about this, but they did not do that. But for county employees where the county administrator hired, I definitely want to see that, and I'll say it again. I'm okay. But for me, and I will do what the majority of the council will like, but my only request was about the people with the $15 an hour. And I see, and I am committed to saying we need to keep our word. The sheriff came to us and we sat here and said, we'll do what we can. So I'm okay, as long as we can do what we say we're going to do.
Say it again.
Because I like to be a person of my word.
Okay. So, from the original, the second motion that Mr. Stroman said was, we would like to go forward with the $15 minimum for all employees, with the addition of Dr. Johnson, the $40,000 going, his motion, not motion, but his addition of the $40,000 go to the sheriff's department. And Jason Mr. Steen do not want the, you do not want what now, Mr. Steen?
I mean, I just wanted a salary study, so you said longevity
Yeah.
increase for the
Longevity.
ones that's been here a while.
Opportunity, yeah.
I'm also included this whole package, the positions that he's requested, as well as the $15 an hour, as well
And the two employees,
Right, and 40,000. Right.
and the $40,000 for the sheriff department.
That's right.
And for those who have been with the county for a long period of time, if there's a way to increase their longevity pay, correct?
Right. So that's.
So that's the
Wouldn't that
motion.
figure at the bottom would change then? Would that total at the bottom would not change? Yeah.
Yeah,
So what would that figure be?
I'd leave them two right there and go with it till February, then we come back and find out if we can afford the sheriff. And we'll be starting the budget and all.
176.
216, 176.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we end discussion and move on with the motion.
But everybody does it.
See, this is what happens when you put something on the agenda for a first vote like this.
Let me have some clarification.
Go ahead.
in terms of the salary,
We didn't give like $2 million
associated with the sheriff's department. That's a net amount, benefits and the other costs are going to be included, so the actual rate of increase would be less than 40,000, is that your understanding? 40,000 is the total cost associated with that?
That's including the benefits.
It includes the benefits, okay.
There's, this motion still is on the table, and there's been a second. Do we have any more discussion? So do you understand the motion?
Mr. Strong made the motion to include the two positions, $15 salary upgrade, to do the 40,000 for this year, and you're gonna have a contingency for salary study, am I correct?
Right.
For longevity, the longevity.
Longevity, you know. And Dr. Johnson second the motion. Are we ready to vote? Any more discussions?
All I'd say, I'd like to see it done as two separate motions, but we can go ahead.
That motion is dead, Mr. Strowman, you have to make that motion over again. Too much time lapsed.
Mr. Strowman?
I make a motion, once again, to amend my first motion to accept the recommendation from our administrator to increase the salary, the minimum wage of Marlboro County to $15 an hour, to include the positions that he's requesting, and the longevity stipulation that Councilman Steen is suggesting, and the $40,000 that should go to the sheriff department.
Second motion.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor, show of hands. Okay. Those opposed? 2. The majority have it. Okay. Next on the agenda, appointment to boards and commissions. Do we have any appointment to boards and commissions? Anyone? Okay.
Trying to think. Last time we talked, we wanted to appoint, and I don't think this is my appointment, though, but we wanted to appoint Mr. King to the Economic Development Board, Mr. Ron King,
Okay.
to the Economic Development.
Economic Development Board?
Yeah, that's what we had decided to do.
To the person just presented on the housing board?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Lawson, you have something?
No,
Okay.
I didn't realize that. He says that he's on
Yeah,
the board there for
we,
life.
No,
Yeah, but he doesn't, he's not elected official, there's no such thing as he can't double serve. But Mr. King will be an excellent, he was once, the, economic developer for the county.
correct.
His knowledge, of economic development would only be an enhancement to Mr. McNeil and our team. And we discussed it in the last meeting, and everybody said we were going to do it this week.
Okay. We got a motion, I get a second? For Mr. King to join the Economic Development Board.
Unreadiness, is there an opening for a council member to appoint someone on the Economic Development Board per?
Susan.
Go
We
ahead.
have 2 industries, Mohawk closed down. We have another industry, the party is not attending the meetings. We have not been able to have a quorum the last 2 meetings. We've got to replace these positions. Mr. King has the experience of economic development, he can replace one. If you do not replace them, you don't even need to schedule another economic development meeting, because they're not happening.
Don't have a quorum.
I've been there the last several meetings, they're not happening.
Don't have a quorum.
Yeah, and we are concerned with not being able to pull a quorum because, the ones that do come, it's a waste of time for them to come and then
Don't
we're
have a quorum.
discussing, getting updates, but we're not able to actually elect the officers. We're not actually able to move forward with anything that's meaningful for them to help us with, because we do need their assistance.
Yeah, I agree.
And so we gotta get,
I'm familiar
second.
with Mr. King's
I'll
past
second.
work
Yeah.
as economic development here in Marlboro County, and so I think his expertise will be needed in economic development.
So you had a motion, I second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous. Welcome back, Mr. King. Okay, we got a seven to a bids. Let's see, we have no bids. Reports. Mr. West Parks.
You have before you the financial report for 6 months ending December 31, 2023. Revenues total $4,169,442 in comparison to $4,019,610 for the 6 months ending December 31, 2022. General fund expenditures through the end of December total $7,150,867 of a $2,233,618 budget, or 50.24% of budget year to date. General fund expenditures total $6,739,664 for the same 6 months ending December 31, 2022. In conclusion, revenues are up in comparison to the prior year, but not as much as the increase in expenditures. I don't know if there's any questions about that report. When we move on to the project report, you have a report on expenditures through December 31, 2023 from capital projects funds 40, 55, 70, 72, 73, and 75. And of course, these include the various recreation as well as we've got general obligation, bond issuance, proceeds. I don't know if there's any questions in terms of our expenditures within that report. I'd be glad to.
Just for clarity, on the revenues at 4 million, expenses at 7 million, where do you get that other $3 million from?
Well, what happens, it comes from fund balance. And that's one of the reasons why it makes a lot of sense to have a healthy fund balance, because obviously when we start in the fiscal year in July, we have no property tax collections other than, we've got vehicle tax that comes each month, but there's certainly a wide gap between that date and typically it ends up being February before we start seeing the effect of the property tax collection.
We don't get much in October?
Well, we did get our we did get our quarterly income from the state, but there again, that's an allocation of state shared revenues. It's not property, local property taxes, which is really the lion's share of our budget.
Okay. On Fund 72, I know the Broad Street project, the $362,000 demolition and construction costs, that is not on hold anymore. Isn't that dead? Did we decide not to tear it down?
We're putting in, right now, putting in budget requests.
Okay.
Because what we decided before was
To
that
move
we would put
forward.
in budget requests to do the thing brand new. Not
Correct.
tear it down, but just to really
Right.
make it really nice.
Okay.
And so, I actually I don't have a copy of the form with me now, but it's a form I have to turn in to the Ways and Means Committee. And I'll be doing that this week so that we can get funds for that.
The other thing that I have a question on is the $350,000 Paul Wallace. How long are we gonna wait on that project?
Which one?
$350, they Paul
170.
Wallace. Yeah.
Has there been any movement?
So, first of all, that Paul Wallace project, I have to speak with the local authority because I haven't heard anything, from them. And as I understand, the 7 members of that local authority, 2 come from the county council, and 2 report from the city council, and 3, 1 from each member delegation. I haven't got any report from anyone, and I don't know if anybody here knows of anyone that's on that local authority.
I just received communication from Sully Blair, just today, in fact, and they were getting ready to engage the architectural and engineering service for that project, and it looked very complicated. I think that's one of the reasons why there's been, delay because of the, all of the work involved with doing a project like that. So I think they're just getting ready to engage that service at this point in time. Expect that they'll be able to have the construction drawings ready to bid this probably this late spring, and anticipate. I think the project schedule is anticipated actually have the project constructed next summer.
And see, Mr. Park, if somebody hadn't pointed it out, I'm glad you mentioned that, but if we had just kind of carefully go through some of these things, we wouldn't have known that. We've been waiting till the next month to know that, because I really would like to know where they are with that. And costs have gone up too.
And I really, all of these projects, they're time sensitive, I really want to get them going or reallocate the funds for something that we can use. So.
Yeah, we will be looking at doing a groundbreaking very soon with the Aquatic Center. We're just looking at getting the renderings, and that will be, you'll have those definitely by next meeting.
By when?
The renderings, you'll have those by next meeting, and probably before then. I'll be able to email everybody from council the renderings from that. But we'll have that, and a sign's gonna be going up soon down there too. So I think that's important for people to know. If we're doing things, it's important for people to know that we're doing things and that we are making progress with some of the recreation projects that we have out there.
So where are we with that groundbreaking and opening for the golf facility? We never did have an opening for that.
Now, we're still doing some things with that as far as irrigation and as far as some of the other parts of it. But, that banquet hall is still not completely finished. And we don't want to do any kind of...
I don't know. I just need an update.
Right, we don't want to do any kind of formal opening of anything while we're still in the construction on that. Because remember, we voted on the air conditioning system. That's being put in still. It isn't quite, honestly, it isn't quite up to schedule. There were some delays there in the late December with that. But that should be probably finished, I'm looking at the beginning of February. That's the update I received from the construction company. And once that's finished, we're going to do some. We're going to do an opening for a grand opening for the golf course, the banquet hall, the new renovated clubhouse. All those things will be something we present to the public, because we do want the public to know that the golf course is there and it's public. We want them to know it's not a private country club. It is public, and we're going to have programs in there for all types of people, as far as a women's golf clinic, a children's clinic for people who never play golf. We're going to have all those things through the summer, and so it's going to be very active there. So we're looking forward to making sure that the golf course not only is shown to the public, but they know that it's for everyone.
My next presentation is on bank accounts and fund activities. I did want to address the questions that were a part of how many bank accounts does the county currently manage. And I'll say here, county operations are vast and comprehensive series of services ranging from public works to rural fire to sheriff, detention to magistrate, probate, corporate court to emergency preparedness, to medical services, to recreation and cultural, to tax billing, collection, grant administration, just to name a few. The county provides administrative services in the form of payroll processing for the solicitor and the public defender representing counties of Marlboro, Chesterfield, Dillon, and Darlington counties. Treasury operations require disbursement of county tax revenues in various incorporated municipalities, Bennettsville, Glen, Clio, and McCall, as well as NETC, Marlboro County School District, and counties EMS and rural fire. Many county operations require segregation of funds and bank accounts. Looking at the various type of, county elected county bank accounts, the elected county treasurer has the responsibility and authority to open all bank accounts required to maintain adequate segregation of funds held by the county. Other elected officials, outside entities such as the Marlboro County School District and any administrative departments must coordinate any request to open accounts with the county treasurer. Segregation of funds. There are many reasons for maintaining separate bank accounts for certain revenue streams. There are also important reasons to avoid commingling funds which are held in trust for various taxing entities, such as for the Marlboro County School District. In the following slides, I'll continue to outline the various governmental, proprietary, and fiduciary fund types to provide greater clarity on the county's overall operations. Start with the governmental type of funds. We've got general funds, and those are funds that are revenues from property taxes, state tax allocations, licenses, and fees, and are used to pay for general governmental operations. Then we have special revenue funds. These are revenues received through special operations, special allocation, or grants to pay for specific purposes. We have debt service funds. These are revenues that are generated from designated tax millage and are used to pay for scheduled debt payments. And then we have capital project funds. Those are proceeds that are generated from financing, transfers, and capital grants to pay for long-lived assets. Look at our various general fund bank accounts. We do have an accounts payable checking account. We have a payroll account. Have a local option sales tax account. We have a local government investment pool. We have a library account, building codes credit card account, and then we have a recreation account. So they're separate. Special revenue funds. This is where half of our bank accounts are. We have a solicitor's office, which effectively covers the 4 different counties: Marlboro, Chesterfield, Dillon, and Darlington. We have a county railroad fund. We have family court 4D funds. We have victim advocacy funds. We've got a law library. We have the Marion Wright Edelman Public Library Board. We have public defender. They're again covering 4 counties. We have the family court incentive fund. We have the Marlboro County Rural Fire. We have economic development fund. We have treasurer's fine and fees account. Sheriff's seized drug fund. We have Marlboro County Federal Inmate Reimbursement Fund. Clerk of Court has a trust fund, a bond account, recording fees account, a court fine account, family court. Sheriff has federal drug fund, a canine unit, office account, drug fund, sex offender registry fund. Detention center has an inmate cost reimbursement, inmate canteen fund, inmate trust fund. The magistrate has a criminal and traffic account, civil account, and a bond account. debt service fund bank accounts, we have one for a general obligation tax fund account. Capital project funds bank account, we have a general obligation bond proceeds account. We have the American Rescue Fund account. We have the Marlboro County Recreation Facilities account. And then we've got the Marlboro County Golf and Recreation Capital account. Proprietary and fiduciary funds. Proprietary funds are activities that the county operates that are similar to private businesses. For example, golf course, emergency medical services, and solid waste. Those are three proprietary funds. And then we have fiduciary funds. These are activities where the county is a trustee or agent for some other party's resources. When we look at our proprietary fund bank accounts, we've got the golf course operating account, we've got the emergency medical services operating account, we've got the emergency medical services billing account, and then we have the solid waste operating account. Looking at the fiduciary fund bank accounts, we've got the forfeited land commission fund, we've got the delinquent property tax collection, we have the property tax overage account, the old account, which will be cleared out probably within a month or so. We have the property tax overage, the new account. We have Marlboro County School Operations account, Marlboro County School Bond account, Marlboro County District Penny Sales Tax account. We have Marlboro County District Penny Sales Tax Local Government Investment Fund account. And then we've got the Marlboro County School District Capital Projects account. Fiduciary funds, Marlboro County Treasurer Motor Vehicle, Current Real Estate, Delinquent Tax, PayPal account. And if we look at the various bank accounts by fund type, you can see that we have 7 general fund bank accounts. We've got 29 special revenue fund bank accounts. We've got 1 debt service fund bank account. We have 4 capital project fund bank accounts. We've got 4 proprietary fund bank accounts. And we've got 13 fiduciary bank accounts. And we just look at that as a one pie chart and kind of see how that's dispersed. And then we look at it in terms of county bank accounts by department. The treasurer has 14, sheriff has 11, clerk of court 7, magistrate 3, delinquent tax 4, and the others are 19. A lot of those are 1 or 2 accounts. And you can kind of see the way that's dispersed by just one background. So, I don't know if there's any questions. I went through that quickly. I know the night is kind of
So, for all of these accounts, whose responsibility to ensure the fiscal health and the fiscal management of all of the, are there any checks and balances in place for?
Obviously, from the treasurer has a responsibility to secure the funds, the collection of those funds, and maintaining the accounts. Of course, we have, from an administrative perspective, in terms of procurement and in terms of dispersing, things like the activity through accounts payable and payroll. Of course, that's an administrative responsibility. That's a combination of administration, personnel, and finance.
From your professional opinion, are there any risk or threats that we have right now with all of these accounts and all of the accounting? Do we have any risk or threats too?
I think one of the things that we've seen in this past year, the treasurer implemented something called positive pay. that was something that, was really overdue. It's sort of a challenge to do that because of what you have to do administratively to do that. I think we're much more secure as a result of that. And a lot of the accounts that we're looking at here, some of those have a lot of activity but have very little funds in them. So, like for example, in some of the clerk and magistrate's operation, it's important for them to be able to have those various funds, but there's not a lot of real dollars in there. They're coming in and they're flowing out. So I think we're in good condition in that regard.
Who decides how to allocate and which funds go to which account? For instance, like the library account, and why is there a library account and a Mary Elderman Wright Library board account?
For example, the board account is actually a special revenue fund, where we have another library account that's a general fund account. So it's a matter of determining what is the fund type, and what is kind of the purpose of that. Is it really a part of the general fund operation? Is it a part of some type of proprietary, which would be like a business operation? Or is it a fiduciary where we're holding funds for somebody else and we've got the responsibility to
My question is like if she needs, right?
Yeah. So our general fund account is essentially for fines, fees. Somebody lost a book and replaced it, so that's called our in-house fund.
Right.
And so we have a real small bank account where we can accept credit and debit cards, and then all of the cash flow goes to the treasurer's office. On the other hand, by state law 4935, county library boards are enacted and created. That law will tell you everything you need to know about monies, and that it's a special revenue fund that they'll allocate us $150,000 every year to be used for library services only.
Right.
And so those funds have to be in a special account. And then we also have a board account that's separate, and that's all the gifts. If you want to write us a $500 check, the board administers that.
Okay. And that was my question. She answered my question basically because I wanted to know, did she have access to all of those accounts that are both of those accounts that you know where to ask for money from?
Every year we kind of project, we can look at our POS system and say, well, we brought in $18,000 in fines, fees, that sort of thing, so we can kind of budget and know that hopefully we'll get that amount and be able to supplement our regular budget. Because you all allocate the county portion, and then we get our state funding, and then whatever else we bring in for the in-house, it's kind of a cushion for us.
Mr. Part, I just want to be clear, and I hope you can answer too, Mr. Clyburn. Is it standard for a county to have so many accounts?
It is, unfortunately, because the operations are so diverse. Plus, we also serve, in a fiduciary role to the various entities. Just like, for example, we administer payroll for solicitor's office, for the public defender. So, the things like that really require a lot more accounts than maybe a municipal operation like the city government.
So question, if I was nefarious, could I manipulate, the monies in these accounts to my advantage if I knew how to?
We go through an annual audit, and there's testing that takes place. Part of what they do is they test what is termed to be internal controls. What are the controls that are in place to protect, safeguard the assets, and to make certain that all the activities have been recorded and posted, and, you know, they go through and not only do they do the testing, they do analytical review, basically reviewing prior periods, then they, you know, they consider reasonableness, there's a lot that goes into making a determination when the auditors come and issue a financial report. They've done a lot of work. We've done an awful lot of work to get prepared so that we've done everything that needs to be done so that all the activity has been recorded.
So when we have our audit report, will those accounts be in the audit report or just some of it?
It will be. Everything will be in the audit report, but it is a very complicated document. I'll have to say, looking back 30 years ago, that report wasn't anywhere close to what it is now. Even 20 years ago, it wasn't near as complicated as it is today.
Now, who has access to the bank statements?
The treasurer, of course, has access to the bank statements. We do get copies of those, you know, probably all the different bank accounts at least once a year. Some of those special revenue funds, for example, we only post the activity on an annual basis. Some of the accounts don't have any activities. You know, some of the bank accounts have, you know, very few, you know, transactions. So we don't have you know, 58 different automated checking accounts, for example. So anyway, but we do, and we provide copies of the bank statements to our financial auditors on an annual basis.
So we use outside external. We do an external audit with the outside
We do.
contractor, right? But at any time we can do an internal. Are we capable? Do we have the resources here to do an internal?
We've got, you know, we do some analytical review on a monthly basis. You know, when we run our financial statements, for example, we review prior activities, we look at things in terms of making certain that everything has been properly posted, that, you know, it's actually been recorded timely, because sometimes, and then just like we talked, maybe it was a couple months ago, what we're seeing is our revenues were actually we're running ahead of the prior year. Well, when we did the review, we found that, the state is actually releasing the funds earlier. But, you know, we look at all those things to make certain that we're on top of our financial records.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked that is because every audit that we've got it is you know, reasonable opinion.
Right.
Audits. That's what the final reading is
Yeah.
reasonable. But I don't know. I just feel like we should do every year or every other year our own internal audit, just to try to get as close to an absolute opinion as we can internally. And I guess, you know,
Well,
the current administrator will probably, he's be a lot closer than we've ever been before, so.
The auditors, when they express the opinions on the financial statement, they make the statement that based on their opinion, the financial statements fairly represent the financial position and the operations of the county.
Yeah, they give a reasonable opinion, based on their reasonable.
They do.
Right.
They give a reasonable opinion. And of course, there's a lot of activity,
Right.
obviously.
Right, and I'm familiar with the audit and how it's carried out. But I just want to make sure that we can do it periodically internally.
So this is my last point. So that 7 million, fund balance that we have, is it inclusive of all these all the information in this
Everything
account?
is included in there, and let's let's keep in mind, that's general fund,
General fund.
fund balance.
And some of these are not.
So,
Gotcha.
there are other funds that aren't general fund that have a fund balance. For example, economic development has got a fund balance. Railroad has a fund balance. Golf course has a fund balance. Those are 3 proprietary funds.
So we won't know the health of those accounts unless we look intimately at
Well,
what.
we look, yeah, we look at the, and one of the ways we determine kind of where they are is, are they needing a subsidy from the general fund? And that's not the case.
Okay, anybody else?
One last, and I just mentioned, you received a copy of the application by email on December, for a grant that was submitted on December 15th. That was $500,000 land and water conservation fund grant to make $1 million worth of improvements at Lindsay Park. Included in the application was the project narrative, project timeline, environmental surveys, engineering and construction estimates, the resolution from county council committing to the grant, which will match the funds. Also included are the project maps and renderings. The county will be notified by South Carolina Parks and Recreation and Tourism in October of '24 if the project is awarded. And if we do see the award, we have to complete the project within 24 months. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Administrative report, Mr. Clapper.
Good evening, council members and citizens. I have a brief report here. I don't want to prolong the night any more than currently. The one thing I do want to talk about is our inmate assistance program. We did have training. We finally got the training on Wednesday the 10th, and everyone was certified. The ones that are going to be supervising some of the inmates. And all we're waiting on now is for sentencing, so that from the local judge, and so that we'll be able to get sentencing and get those inmates, get them to work. So there's that. If there's any other type of questions you have about any of our activities, I'll be glad to take those questions right now.
Where are we with the litter grant and the fact that litter signs need to be placed in the county? Where are we with that, sir?
So the litter grant, we did not receive the litter grant. A lot of the counties didn't receive it that received it in the past. What we were told is that litter grant was, it was very competitive this year. We had everything in on time, and we were actually one of the first counties to get everything in, but they did it not just in order, but they did it by priority. And so many counties and so many entities applied for that once they got to the first tier, they were all out. And so I can get a letter for anyone that wants to see that, stating that, but that litter grant was given out. And the same thing happened with a couple of grants that, we had the meeting with the COG. A lot of these agencies that are giving grants are now getting a lot of requests from a lot of different entities. And, the grants that were for fire trucks and those kind of things, even those grants are being really cut out of a lot of counties that used to get them. And so it may be because of a lot of municipalities and counties are now relying more on those grants because of the economic times, or they just, for some reason, they just get a lot more grant requests from a lot of different agencies. So it's going to be harder to get grants that, at least some of the smaller grants. We just have to make sure that we not only apply on time, but that we make some contact with people that we know inside. And, we weren't able to really get that done this time. It's just one of those things in a lot of counties. I know one of our neighboring counties actually had a position funded by that grant and didn't get a grant. And so that's just kind of across the board. People not getting as many grants as they normally
I really hope we can get something because this litter is still, it's bad in this county.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do the inmate assistance program, because that's gonna be part of what we use to do with litter. And that's one of the first things we wanted to do with that. We were gonna use some of that, for some of our maintenance duties, but I do think we need to go ahead and get some of the, we gotta prioritize. We won't have, an infinite amount of help, and we're gonna have an infinite amount of, a finite amount of help. It's not gonna be infinite. We're not just gonna get inmates all the time. So we're gonna have to prioritize, and I think one of the first priorities is some of the roadways that we have in the county that we wanna go ahead and get litter from. I saw one just the other night, and I couldn't believe it was that bad over there, actually near the industrial park. And so we're just gonna go around in some of the neighborhoods and just start picking up. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you, sir. We had, Susan, we got nobody? Good, that's a good thing. Executive session, discuss of contractual matters. That was on the agenda. We got anything we need to discuss in executive session?
There's nothing.
Okay, great.
We're fine.
Recognition of council. I'm gonna start with Steve Blackman. I'm let the past chair go be last.
I really ain't got nothing. I just, I'm glad we got this meeting here going, and I hope this year is a good one for all of us. And I just want us to work together and bring everything better for everybody in the county. That's all I got.
Just like to say Happy New Year to everyone that I haven't said it to. Congratulations, Chairman Woods, on the election of chairman for this year. I would just say that, we have a lot of optimism in this county, but we have to make sure that that optimism is turned into some tangible thing that our citizens can see that we're doing as a council. We're putting in a lot of work, but that work has to translate into actual, visible things that we can feel, that we can touch, to give confidence in our citizens that we are working on their behalf. The thing that we have, Mr. McNeil, I'm hearing great things about, the work that you continue to put in, the unseen work, that you continue to put in, Mr. Clyburn, just continue to work. And as council, we're committed, to finding, that extra money, that hadn't been allocated toward Marlboro County. We're behind. We're behind, and we really need to catch up. And it's going to take a little bit of work outside of these meetings for us to catch up. It's going to take some sacrificing, some lunch time, some dinner time, and to go in and meet with certain people and different type, of things to make sure that those resources come to Marlboro County. And I'm not sure about any other council member, but I'm committed to going and find, those people and sit down with those people and make sure that, we get ahead of the curve instead of always being just a step behind, the curve. And so, looking forward to working with each council member in the coming year to ensure that Marlboro County gets its fair share of money and resources to put back into our county.
Mr. Woods, congratulations. How many years you been here for? So long, so a lot of years. So like I said, it's well deserved, and so I look forward to working with you, and like I said, in the future.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, congratulations. It is an honor for me to call you Mr. Chairman. Finally. Like Dr. Johnson, I want to piggyback off of what he said, and we have a lot of work, and we're doing a lot of work in the county, but it has to be visual. They don't see us moving right now. They see us kicking the can down the road, and that's a lot of what they've always seen. So we've really got to get some of these projects off and going and moving, and hopefully now is the time. We've got all the pieces of the puzzle, seem like we've got them in place, and everybody feel it, that we're right on the verge of something huge. But then, it doesn't materialize. So hopefully we can get over that hurdle and work together as a unit up here and get things done. Mr. Administrator, thank you for what you're doing and what you have done for the county so far. Your staff, It looks like you're putting together a well-qualified staff to help out in this county. And we really appreciate that. Yeah, so, and that's what I was
Congratulations, Mr. Chair. And I want to say to everyone, those of us who we know that the county government, unlike the city and the school board, we are partisan. So as a Democratic person, I want to remind everyone, and also anyone who's a registered voter, that this is the time now, if you're planning to vote absentee in the upcoming Saturday, February the 3rd Democratic presidential primary. You would need to go on, especially if you want an absentee ballot, you need to go on today. You have until next Tuesday to request that ballot. Want to encourage that early voting will take place. They won't be having you at the Election Commission office. They will be held at the courthouse. And that will be there the polls will be open from 8:30 to 7 to 7 on that day is for the election day, but from 8:30 to 6, you can go to the courthouse and vote early. But I really would encourage, and with the Republican primary presidential preference, they're going to be having their election on February the 24th. Mr. Odom had to leave, but because I know that I'm a Democrat, I'm gonna have to really promote that, but I will give respect to all the presidential primaries. Also for our county, we have and I know Ms. Susan gonna send us this, because I do want to get my other 6 hours of training. That legislative date is Wednesday, February 21st. And I don't know whether you got this in the mail or not, but please sign me up for that government institute program, and I'll decide what classes, and that will be in Columbia. And I do know that the chamber has invited us to legislative day on the 26th at the Sky at 7:30 a.m., pretty early, not to 9 o'clock for breakfast, but anyway, I wanted to make sure I get that out. But I do appreciate this opportunity. I've been here one full year now, everybody, and I sort of know my way around and look forward to a good year for everyone, and hope we can move forward, and I really do. I pray that we can find something that materializes, because I'm questioning, but I want to ask God, help me stay patient. Until I see something materialize, I'm going to still question. But I hope it will come materialize. So thank you.
Bobby Joe, I really love your energy, and thank you for all you do for the library. And also, Mr. Park, Mr. Clyburn, I appreciate y'all putting together the finance workshop last week. I mean, that was really good, very transparent. I mean, it was extremely detailed, and y'all did a fantastic job. I know that didn't just happen over a couple of days. I mean, y'all put some real work into that. Thank y'all very much. Mr. Chairman, Chairman Woods, congratulations. And thank my other councilmen and women for giving me the opportunity to serve them for the past 2 years, and it's been a privilege. Thank you. And I'm gonna say goodbye on that one.
You look good in the hat. Very brief, Mr. Chair. On Tuesday, January the 23rd, from the hour of 12:30 to 1:30, we will have an interfaith hour of power at 202 East Main Street, Bella Simple Creations. It's just for faith leaders and community citizens to get together. We understand that this political climate is really divisive. People are getting hurt, out there in this political climate. We want to make sure that from the Democratic Party that we are offering interfaith leaders to come and pray and to engage each other in a manner of respect. So the South Carolina Democratic Party, first in the nation, and the Marlboro County Democratic Party is sponsoring a local interfaith hour Tuesday, January the 23rd from 12:30 to 1:30. Come out, and engage and pray. And also on February the 1st from the hour of 12 to 1, there will be a bus tour coming to, Marlboro County in regards to getting people invigorated to vote in the primary election. We know that early voting starts on January the 22nd, next Monday. Early voting starts. Early voting is for 2 weeks. You know, and so there's opportunity for people to come out and vote. But February the 1st, from the hour of 12 to 1, at 202 East Main Street, there will be a pep rally to get people to, be enthusiastic about voting in the primary, but not only the primary, to continue that voting into our local election, our national election, because we know that we can't do our jobs unless people vote. And so, please, man, please, sir, come out and share in those events.
Thank you, sir. Also, to piggyback off what Dr. Johnson was saying, we as a council got to make sure that all people in the vote offices have the proper equipment, have the space, have the work, the manpower, because this upcoming year, we got a lot of election coming in. It could be very important that they don't have the workforce. Make sure that they are fully capable and got all the equipment, have the workers in place, so when the election do come, they will not have a black eye on their face saying that we didn't have the help or we didn't have the equipment. It's our job to help them, make sure that they are in place. I thank everybody for the unanimous vote. Made me feel real good inside that y'all believe and trust in me, and I do and will work hard. I do not take this position lightly. I do not take it as a feather in my cap, because it's something that I wanted, something I want to do. I want to ensure everyone that, like Mr. Strowman said, it's time for Marlboro County to quit kicking the can down the road. We got a lot of irons in the fire, but even we take one iron and make sure that was lit. We cannot continue to jab in and out. We might have to focus on one target to make sure we turn some dirt, throw some paint, to make sure that the citizens of Marlboro County can see us making progress. Where we can't make everything, like we go to the restaurant wait till all the food get ready for to serve it out. Sometimes you got to serve the first entree and then bring the rest of it out. So we need, we definitely need in 2024 to turn some dirt, see some paint flying, so the citizens can see what we doing. Mr. McNeil, I say we heard a lot of things about you also, and continue to work hard, because sooner or later you could pull out a rod that could be full of fire, and we waiting on that day. One other thing I do want to say that Miss Susan, I'll be relying on you a lot, even before then anyway. But I would love for us as a council, for you to send a letter to the delegation we would like to have a meeting with them. I know the school is trying to get a meeting with them too, so if we need to meet with them, period. Us as a council, and we want to have an agenda when we get that date in place to tell them it's not going to be a lynching. It's going to be something that what we are doing, what we need their help on, and all of us got ideas. All of us want to do something, but we want to tell the delegation, look, here we are, this is our package, this is what we need help with. The idea that you have, the idea that you have, the idea that we have, so we can actually put it on black and white, present it to them, that they would not have to say, I'm willing to help, but y'all ain't gave me nothing. We're going to take that part out of it. We will give them something to help us with. With that being said, at 8:20, yes, sir. Can I get one?
I make the motion that we adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
A motion, a second? All in favor?